Centaur, your kind of company.
Tonight on Ctv3 News, Belize's head of state, Queen Elizabeth II, passes away at the age of 96. Governor General Dame Froila Zalam issues a statement following the passing of Queen Elizabeth II. Flags to be flown at half-mast as Belize remains in mourning. Government plans to convert sargassum seaweed into an energy mix capable of contributing to the country's power grid. And the schools here in the north celebrate World Literacy Day. These are some of the stories we have for you tonight in our newscast for Thursday, September 8, 2022.
Speed. Everyone wants more. Internet is more than speed. That's why Centaur's Internet Express offers you wall-to-wall coverage with its Wi-Fi extender. Just plug and surf. Stay connected as you move around your home with Centaur's Wi-Fi extender. Can your internet do that?
Centaur, your kind of company.
Ever since I was a kid, I've dreamt of going to Mars. You can keep my dream alive.
Come with me. You cannot, under any circumstances, leave my room, okay? Only for 35 days.
Enjoy your favorite HBO original series and movies with Centaur, your kind of company.
Es un hecho que tu crédito dura más con Smart. Durante estos tiempos, todos buscamos cómo minimizar nuestros gastos y ahorrar a lo máximo. Con Smart, lograr esto es fácil. Es un hecho que con Smart su crédito dura más. Puede llamar de Smart a Smart y de Smart a Digital sin discriminar al proveedor, usando su crédito promocional. Mientras que con el otro proveedor solo puede usar su crédito promocional para llamar a Digital. ¿Qué significa esto? Su crédito promocional, ya que viene gratis al hacer sus recargas en temporadas de Double Ups, le otorga llamadas gratis a cualquier número nacional. Sigue con Smart y ahorra más dólares.
I met Alex on the plane. When I woke up in the morning, he was so alive.
I think they know you're lying.
Enjoy your favorite HBO original series and movies with Centaur, your kind of company.
Get her off that stage.
Enjoy your favorite HBO original series and movies with Centaur, your kind of company.
Tonight we're really late.
I was so much fun since the pandemic forced us on lockdown and like my online classes have been so stressful.
Oh my gosh.
And I bet you're glad that you finally get out.
Yes, that's true. And that girl, you will let loose. I never did expect that from you. Oh, Melanie.
Well defended again by Beverly.
Anyway, this is a nice one.
George to drive and the finish. Posting up Marcus Morris.
My gosh. Look like COVID hit on real hard. My gosh, Melanie. Now you the top. You see why me? The married life. She can even enjoy her friends like in a peace.
Mind your business. Someday you might find a great guy too.
Exactly. Well, I still kind of have a crush party here, cousin. Oh, no, remember the one where I danced with at the wedding?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, well, I would have go pal up down with you any day.
Anyways, when you don't cause enough trouble for one night, make a walk on the out.
Alright.
Now I believe I have to go to that place at 5 o'clock tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, morning. Morning. Your friend Melanie bring this for you on the way to work? Take it. Check it. You have to be more appreciative. You got some nice friend. And remember, nothing never happened last night, right? Right?
I love you, Jack. You have to do this for you. There's nothing to fear but fear itself. Your future self will thank you.
No. I need help.
During the COVID-19 pandemic, women and girls were at the highest risk of suffering domestic violence. Domestic violence involves violence between any member of the same household. It can happen to females or males, young or old. However, the evidence has shown that women and girls face the greatest risk. That risk has heightened due to the impacts of the pandemic, including job losses, mounting stress, and restrictions to movement and recreation. We can all help to combat violence against women and girls during the COVID-19 pandemic. Just like Melanie did, you can reach out to someone who is struggling and help them to find a way out. It is never easy, but together we can fight this. Belize will not be safe until its women are safe. Secure Belize.
Good evening. With your news, also simulcast on Fiesta FM 106.7. I am Joanna Rodriguez. Tonight, Belize joins the rest of the Commonwealth and the UK in mourning the death of Queen Elizabeth II, who was the longest reigning monarch in British history. She ascended to the throne in 1952 and reigned for 70 years until her death today, Thursday, September 8, 2022. She was 96. An official statement from Buckingham Palace said the Queen died peacefully at Balmoral Castle, her estate in the Scottish Highlands. Her son became Britain's new monarch, King Charles III. In a statement earlier today, the King said, "The death of my beloved mother, Her Majesty the Queen, is a moment of the greatest sadness for me and all members of my family. We mourn profoundly the passing of a cherished sovereign and a much-loved mother. I know her loss will be deeply felt throughout the country, the realms, and the Commonwealth, and by countless people around the world," end quote. In an official statement from the Queen's representative in Belize, Her Excellency Dame Froila Zalam, Governor-General of Belize, expresses deep sorrow and sincerest condolences to the family and friends of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, Queen of Belize, and the 14 other countries in the realm and the head of the Commonwealth. Her statement adds, and we quote, "The Queen ruled for longer than any other monarch in British history, having just celebrated 70 years earlier this year. She was a much-loved and respected figure across the globe. Her extraordinary reign has seen her travel more widely than any other monarch, undertaking many historic overseas visits. Known for her sense of duty and her devotion to a life of service, she has been an important figurehead for the UK and the Commonwealth during times of enormous social change," end quote. The government of Belize today also issued a statement adding, quote, "The Queen has served as Belize's head of state since our independence. Her Majesty has been a source of grace, service, and stability throughout her reign and over decades of profound global tumult and advancement." The statement continues, "The government and people of Belize extend their sincere condolences to the royal family, the Commonwealth, and the realms," end quote. The Prime Minister of Belize, Honorable John Briceño, has ordered that all national flags be flown at half-mast from today until the committal service for Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II on September 18, 2022. The Prime Minister Briceño has also requested the tolling of church bells on Friday morning. The office of the Prime Minister further informs the nation that as a sign of utmost respect and in expression of deepest condolences, the nation will observe an official period of mourning during this time. Opposition leader Honorable Shine Barrow today also joined the government of Belize in expressing sympathies to the royal family, Prime Minister Elizabeth Truss, and the British people on the passing of Queen Elizabeth II. During her almost 70 years on the throne, the Queen visited Belize twice. Her first visit was in 1985, 4 years after Belize had attained political independence. She was welcomed by Belize's first Governor-General, Dame Minita Gordon, at the Philip Golson International Airport and introduced to then Prime Minister Sir Manuel Esquivel and leaders of government. During her visit, she inspected the Guard of Honor mounted by the Belize Police Force in Belmopan. Following a state dinner at the Government House in Belize City, Her Majesty addressed Belizeans.
Respect for moral and spiritual values and the rule of law have made this country a notable example of how freedom can work in practice. A climate has been created where personal initiative and free choice have become a pattern of life for every Belizean. What you have achieved augurs well for the future development of the nation, but it must be carefully nurtured and strengthened, and then passed on to future generations.
The monarch would return to Belize less than 9 years later in 1994, this time with her husband, Prince Philip. By her second visit, Her Majesty's representative in Belize was Sir Calvin Young, who was knighted on that occasion. Flanked by Prince Philip at her side, the Queen addressed Belizeans from inside the National Assembly.
Many of the changes which we have witnessed are to be applauded and encouraged. Many have helped the disadvantaged to achieve their proper place in society. But some, the increase in crime being an obvious example, have done damage to society and it is up to us to keep that society strong enough to withstand any assault from whatever quarter. It is never enough to treat symptoms alone. Such measures as the strengthening of law enforcement agencies and criminal justice systems are worthwhile, but we must simultaneously look at the real roots of the disease. That often means a process of honest and sometimes uncomfortable self-examination by a nation as a whole. But Belize is capable of that.
With the death of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, Belize's magistrates, Supreme and Court of Appeal have been ordered to begin switching over to the name of Belize's new head of state, King Charles III. Effective today, per a notice from the recently appointed Chief Justice Louise Blenman, all court proceedings usually issued in the name of the Queen Regina must now be issued in the name of the King Rex, and oaths and court documents referring to the Queen are to be amended to refer to the King. The demise of the Crown Principal posits that the throne is never unoccupied. Upon the Queen's passing, the former Prince of Wales immediately became King, although he will be formally crowned in a ceremony yet to be planned. Minister of Education Honorable Francis Fonseca, during an interview at an event this morning, spoke about the reign of the late British monarch Queen Elizabeth II and her contribution to the Commonwealth. Despite his personal views on the monarchy and the old colonial ways, Minister Fonseca says Queen Elizabeth has a long-standing record of service to Belize and the region.
You know, our thoughts and prayers are with the royal family, and we wish the Queen well. She has had a long, productive life. I think in her lifetime she has received about 15 British Prime Ministers, and all of our Prime Ministers of Belize, of course, have served under her tenure and her leadership. So she is the ceremonial head of state of Belize. She is the Queen of Belize, you're right. And so regardless of your views on the monarchy, you know, I believe we should move beyond the monarchy, and we should put behind us the vestiges of colonialism once and for all. But that does not take away from our fondness for the Queen. You know, I believe she has served our Commonwealth with distinction, with grace. And so, you know, we are definitely thinking about her family during this difficult time. And I think, you know, we certainly understand the significant role that she has played in the history of the Commonwealth, and which Belize is a part of. So, you know, whatever our position on the monarchy, we have to pay tribute to her long, distinguished record of service to our region and to our country.
At this time, according to Minister Fonseca, Belize has a unique opportunity to decide the way we want to move forward as a nation through the implementation of a National Constitutional Reform Committee.
We have a unique opportunity coming up. You know, we have the People's Constitutional Commission, which we have launched. So we have a unique opportunity in Belize as a people to define how we want this country to be governed moving forward, and the governance structures that will exist. So that allows us to look at constitutional reform, to look at all the structures of governance in this country, including whether we want to continue with the parliamentary system, whether we want to keep the monarch as the head of state. All of those things are questions for the Belizean people. They will have to ultimately decide that.
An unexplained invasion of sargassum seaweed has been taking place on the coast of Caribbean countries in recent years. Areas affected by the seaweed invasion include Barbados, Guadeloupe, Martinique, Puerto Rico, St. Lucia, St. Martin, and even Belize. The presence of this brown algae represents not only an environmental and economic disaster, but a real threat to human health. Here in Belize, San Pedro and Placencia stay being affected by the brown macroalgae that washes up on their shores. The invasion of sargassum is a phenomenon that is believed to be a direct result of climate change already affecting fishing and tourism sectors. But Belize seems to now have a backup plan to get rid of the sargassum and at the same time convert it to energy. To address this urgent concern, the Prime Minister led a delegation of technical experts to Berlin, Germany, to explore modern technologies and cooperation opportunities in the fields of waste management and renewable energy. The delegation met with Varaldin AG, a Hamburg-based company, to explore technological solutions for managing waste, particularly sargassum.
There's a company in Berlin that seems to have the technology to be able to take the sargassum and to put it into a vacuum and burn it and get a biofuel. And then the biofuel can be used now for an electric plant to be able to create energy. So through SIDS, as a vice chairman, I was invited to meet with them and to have a discussion as to using Belize as a pilot project. So the idea is that they will come to Belize. We will be finding ways how we can collect the sargassum offshore, not onshore, offshore, before it comes to the shore, and then out there to put it in bales, so squeeze out the water, and then bring it onshore to be able to process into a biofuel. The idea is that if this can work, then we can be able to replicate this. The company can replicate this in the different islands in the Caribbean.
How soon can we expect their visit to Belize?
Well, we've set a timeline. There's a memorandum of understanding that we will sign. We have not signed it yet. We're just asking the Attorney General's ministry to take a look at it, because Belize is not going to be putting up any money. It's going to be through SIDSTOCS, the company, through UNIDO, that's the industrial arm of the United Nations. They are going to be funding the research.
According to PM Bresenio, once the research is complete, step 2 will be to sign an agreement to sell electricity to the grid.
The idea is to be able to do it in San Pedro, close to the waste processing area that they have, so that they also believe that they can use the sargassum and also be able to use some of the garbage that the people of San Pedro are using to convert it into energy, feed electricity into San Pedro and to Kikoko. We have set a timeline of 2 years. We believe that within 2 years that can be up and running. They will be coming probably in the next month or so to start to do actually on-the-ground studies and sites and so forth. We have that timeline. We presented it to the Cabinet, and the Cabinet is supportive of this initiative.
Could this see a reduction in electricity rates for those areas where this would
Well, it's not necessarily a matter of reduction for those areas. I remember when electricity rate is set nationwide. The idea is that we want to move away from diesel fuel. As it is right now, we are importing over 40% of our electricity from Mexico. So the more electricity that we can use, the less foreign currency we'll be using. And secondly, if we're starting to use more renewable sources of energy, it reduces our carbon print, and then we can be able to have more carbon credits to be able to sell and to get back as a country. But I believe that the idea is that as we move down through using that kind of renewable sources of energy, that we can eventually look at reducing the cost of electricity for the citizens of this country.
Seeking solutions to mitigate the threat of the sargassum surge has become a top priority for the government of Belize. The excessive accumulation of sargassum on the shores contributes to coastal erosion and harms marine ecosystems. The collection and disposal of sargassum have proven to be a costly necessity for the local government of Belize's top beach destinations. Last week, we told you about the female officer who had to be rushed to the Northern Regional Hospital in a police mobile after she gave birth at home, and she and her baby began experiencing complications and were unable to access the ambulance from the NRH. Since reports surfaced that the nurse at the NRH is the one who refused to deploy the ambulance to the home of the WPC, an investigation was launched into the matter by the Ministry of Health and Wellness. Yesterday, when we spoke to Minister of Health Kevin Bernard, we asked him for an update on the investigation.
We have been looking at the situation, and I think that after looking carefully at the situation, it was a decision call that had to be made. There's another side of the story, which I refuse to comment on in terms of the whole history of the patient as well. There's a lot of issues that probably led to that as well, you know. But from the nurses' perspective, from what they attempted to do, there was a tough decision being made where they had to transport somebody or pick up this patient at the same time. So I believe that because we only had one ambulance functioning at the time, it was a tough call to make, and the call had to be made to transport a person from an emergency from here to Carl Krishna.
A few weeks ago, the fact that the administration of Bishop Martin High School here in Orange Walk did not allow approximately 30 students access to the grounds of the institution due to the length of their hair made headlines for days. While the Ministry of Education had made it known that no student should be deprived from receiving an education due to a haircut, yesterday Minister of Education Francis Fonseca spoke on the issue for the first time and even gave his input on the removal of certain school rules.
The ministry put out a very clear, strong statement on the issue. Schools do have the right, let me say that very clearly, schools do have the right to set rules. We want our students to be disciplined, of course, but those rules cannot be unconstitutional. They cannot be arbitrary. They can't be discriminatory in any manner. We have a fundamental objective and responsibility at the Ministry of Education to ensure that we protect the constitutional rights of our students as well as our teachers. In this case, we're talking about students. So people have kind of put up this straw argument about it being about discipline. It's not about discipline. We're all in favor of discipline. Everybody wants our young people to be disciplined. We want productive, positive citizens produced in our education system. But the education system also has to follow the laws of the country and the rules of the country. So we were very clear, and immediately the Chief Education Officer got in contact with the management of Bishop Martin High School immediately and informed them of the law, informed them of the rules, informed them of the ministry's position. And the school was obliged to comply. Some of the young people, the parents agreed to cut their hair, and that's fine. But not everything has to be a public argument. If we can settle issues in a respectful manner, then that's what we're going to do.
So would you support that rule being struck out?
Yes, man. I think these things are shackles of colonialism that are still a part of, what does your hair, the length of your hair have to do with how you learn? As one young person, I think, posted on social media, it's not about what's on top of your head, it's about what's inside your head.
The Ministry of Education, Culture, Science and Technology signed an agreement with the U.S. Embassy in Belize for the implementation of a NASA-sponsored science and education program in Belize. The program, entitled Global Learning and Observations to Benefit the Environment, GLOBE, is a worldwide hands-on primary and secondary school-based program that builds a collaborative community of students, teachers, scientists, and citizens to conduct real-world research. U.S. Embassy Charge d'Affaires Leila Moses Wants today shared the importance of the program and its benefits in a small country like Belize.
It is a chance for students to conduct real-world, hands-on scientific experiments using the scientific method and then feed those results into the APS program, which then goes into a global database. So, for example, if other scientists are tracking activity in Belize's mangrove, but aren't able to come here for hands-on research, this is a way for students to go out, collect that data, and personally contribute to the world's trove of information and the growing body of knowledge. We know, for example, that Belize's intricate mangrove system is efficient at consuming the carbon in the atmosphere. It's absolutely vital where climate change studies are happening. So we're very excited that Belizean blooming and blossoming scientists are having a chance to contribute to this real-world expanding knowledge of how to combat climate change. NASA is one of the agencies that is sponsoring this program through the provision of technology and some of their scientists. Where Department of State is also intricately involved in this program, so it's really an interagency effort. Also, education platforms to help the new custodians of knowledge for the future, bringing them into real-world problem solving.
Minister of Education, Honorable Francis Fonseca, says the program falls directly in line with the mandate of the ministry under its new curriculum reform to prioritize science and technology among students of all levels.
First of all, we should point out that for the very first time we have a Ministry of Science and Technology, which is a part of the Ministry of Education. So we came into government understanding and appreciating the critical importance of us focusing as a country on science and technology and equipping our people with the skills and the knowledge they need to participate in that science and technology arena and an economy. Really, it's directly related to economic development, to national development. So we started with that in place, and then our curriculum, the National Curriculum Framework, this program is directly aligned to that, because the National Curriculum Framework, what we launched recently, identifies and prioritizes science and technology as a key component of Belize's education curriculum. So at every level of our education system, our students are going to be exposed to science and technology at every level of our education system. And then, of course, as I pointed out in my remarks, it's aligned with our own new approach, if you like, to teaching and learning, the competency-based, project-based approach to learning. And that fits in directly with this particular GLOBE initiative, which is all about data collection, research, sharing science and technology, hands-on learning. So it fits in directly with what we're doing. So that's why we were so excited and enthusiastic about participating, because we saw a natural connection to what we were doing here in Belize.
The program is expected to be launched among secondary school students across the country in the first instance. Coming up next, we head out to San Francisco Government School, where students celebrated International Literacy Day. Stay tuned.
What is Amnesty 2022? An opportunity for undocumented immigrants living in Belize. Belize wants to help you to live freely and continue contributing to those communities you and your family now call home by offering a pathway to permanent residency. Why should you apply? In doing so, you remove barriers and reduce the difficulties faced living as an undocumented immigrant. Applying is easy. Go online to www.immigration.gov.bz for more information. Find out if you qualify, how to apply, what documents you need, and how to book your appointment. Be prepared. The registration period will be from the 2nd of August to the 30th of November 2022. Belize Amnesty 2022. Let's continue to build Belize together.
It's the biggest water foam and big party to ever hit Orange Walk. It's on those. It's all going down September 10th at the Orange Walk People Stadium, starting from 2 p.m. until midnight. Enjoy maximum pain, maximum water, and maximum foam, all powered by No Beer DJ. So just big love, big love. Sound system powered by the mighty Hyper Sound. Entertainment by Belize's best. DJ Dalla, Mr. Flavor, Exclusive Sound, Action One Sound, Marine Sound, Generation 2 Sound, DJ Josh, DJ Love, and Cash King. Every guy the headliner for the night, the best band in the land. It's the TLC band, the Misfit. And start shaking it. Get your pre-sold tickets for only $20 and $30 at the door. This event is sponsored by the Belize Tourism Board, Digi, or National Telecom, Sector 9, Center, Cable Network, Hypersound, L&R Liquors, the Jim Sports Bar and Grill, the Poison Apple, One of a Kind, Estelle, Orange Walk Town Council. Back it up, gal. Back it up, gal. Back it up, gal. Back it up, gal.
¿Qué es Amnistía 2022? Una oportunidad para los inmigrantes indocumentados que viven en Belice. Belice quiere ayudarte a vivir libremente y continuar contribuyendo a las comunidades que usted y su familia ahora llaman su hogar, al ofrecer un camino hacia la residencia permanente. ¿Por qué debería aplicar? Al hacerlo, elimina barreras y reduce las dificultades que enfrenta viviendo como inmigrante indocumentado. Aplicar es fácil. Visita el sitio web www.immigration.gov.bz para obtener más información. Puede verificar si califica, cómo presentar una solicitud, qué documentos necesita y cómo hacer una cita. Prepárate, el plazo de inscripción será del 2 de agosto al 30 de noviembre 2022. Amnistía de Belice 2022. Continuemos construyendo Belice juntos.
Back in the month of August, nurses across the country walked out of their hospitals in protest of overtime payments due to them, better working conditions, more medical supplies, and medication. With quick intervention from the Ministry of Health, the walkout only lasted a few hours, and by afternoon, most of the nurses were back at work after negotiations took place. And while the nurses were making demands, so was the public, who complained about the bad treatment given to patients by some healthcare workers. The concerns of the public were also laid on the table during negotiations, says Minister of Health Kevin Bernard.
When we met, even with staff, we stressed the staff that we expect them to deliver quality service to our people, while we also expect people to respect our doctors and our nurses when they come into the facility. And that's one I think we're putting forward. Let me say this, however, that a lot of in the various areas that we have been, northern region here, southern region, and I know we are doing western region on Monday, a lot of the complaints have been administrative issues locally, and so we are working on getting that addressed. And I said it openly to everyone. If the problem is in administration, then we got to fix the administration. If that is where the root of the problem is, then we need to root out the problem, and then let's move forward, because we need to ensure that whatever we are doing at the facilities, at our regional hospitals, at our wherever we provide health care, it must be provided by quality, efficiency, and with respect and integrity. And these are things that I am imploring on our people, that we want to ensure that we manage our facilities well, we treat our staff well, but we treat our patients much more better as well. So, and it starts from the security at the gate, how you treat people coming in, and all the way to that person leave this facility. I want when you come here, you leave here satisfied that you came, you got service. Now, there have been complaints, but there have also been some great reviews as well.
As you heard, nurses were also protesting the lack of basic medication and medical supplies at the community hospital. It seems that what triggered the issue is the tendering process to secure medical suppliers for the Ministry of Health and Wellness. By the end of September, though, that issue should be completely resolved, says Minister of Health Kevin Bernard.
And I know that by the end of September, we should have that under control because we are now getting all our supplies in. Suppliers are now getting in their supplies to us, and we are distributing those now to the different regions. So we should not have these complaints after September that we short of these basic medication. So that is what we are putting. That's a priority for me, and that's what we are trying to ensure that we put in place as well.
International Literacy Day is celebrated annually around the world on September 8th and is a day designed to focus attention on literacy issues and shines a spotlight on comprehensive literacy needs for everyone, everywhere. To commemorate the event, schools across the country held different activities which promote the importance of reading, particularly now that the education system recovers from the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. Today, our news team joined students of San Francisco RC School as they celebrated World Literacy Day with special presentations by the team from the Sandy Hunter Library.
Today we are celebrating Literacy Day, and it is a day full of activities that leads to reading and the children being exposed to different library books, different genres of reading books. And we have a Peace Corps volunteer, response volunteer, who is assisting us in this day. And through her, and also the teachers, we invited people from the library to assist us with the students. And it's mostly from Standard 2 to Infant 1. And then and in the afternoon, we are going to have another visitor to come and speak with the students and do some activities with the students.
But beyond just improving literacy with their students, Principal Sineida Toledano says the school is committed to ensuring that their students are able to excel scholastically, especially post-COVID-19.
We here at San Francisco School, we advocate that students be good readers. From Infant 1, we want them to learn to read, to learn the sounds, the letters, the sounds, and blend the sounds to then become fluent readers. So the focus is on Standard 1 with the screening, and then we are going to do interventions during the class. We are already working in doing a plan, and within the plan we have children doing some work, and then those that really need attention, then the teacher is there with them for 15 to 20 minutes every day. So it's very important that the students do learn to read, because if they cannot read, they cannot do anything else.
Part of today's Literacy Day activities included story readings by various members of the community. In October 2022, the government of Belize, through the Ministry of Immigration, will launch a new application process for electronic passports through the Electronic Passport Issuance and Control System, EPICS. The new EPIC system and e-passports will be more secure and will allow for efficient processing through modern border management systems. The e-passport will include an electronic chip to safeguard the user's personal information and photograph, as well as a verification feature for use at smart gates at international borders. It will be a symbol of national pride for Belizeans and will establish a bond of trust between Belize and those countries processing entries. To enable the deployment and implementation of the new system, the public is informed that there will be interruptions in services provided by the Nationality and Passports Department effective October 11, 2022. Operators of the new system will receive training from October 11 to the 21st, 2022. During this period, only expedited 24 hours and medical emergency passport applications will be accepted. A complete suspension of acceptance of passport applications will occur on October 17, 2022, and regular services will resume during the week of October 24, 2022, when Belizeans will be able to apply for the new e-passports. And that's the news. We invite you to join us for another newscast on Friday, September 9th here on Ctv3 and Fiesta FM 106.7. Remember that to read a text version of the news, you can visit our website at ctv3belizenews.com. You can also log on to our Facebook page for current stories at facebook.com/ctv3belizenews or our YouTube channel at ctv3newsbz. Remember to wash your hands and remain safe. From all of us here at Ctv3 News, thank you for watching and listening. Good night.